Check 1, 2. Check, 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 check. Oh my goodness. It has been a minute. What are we doing? All right. Okay, I think we're set. Thank you for joining me today on Surviving the System. This is Dancing Dave, and it's been a minute. I have been away for a little while, and a lot has happened. So we've got some catching up to do, and it was another one of those times in life where it's forcing me to take what I talk about, what I try to cover with you and the advice that I give to you, and apply it to my own life. So I definitely get to go through the ringer right along with you. So I'll talk a lot about it. We'll go through what's been going on, and what I learned on the other end, and how I'm getting through it, how I'm dealing with it. So it'll take some time. We'll catch up on the last few weeks here. I wanted to just start off the show real quick by asking for your help. If you've been listening at all this year, you know that I'm really trying to make a very, very conscious effort to grow the audience. And I can't do that without your help. So if you find value in this show, if you find value in anything that I have brought to the table, any of my past recordings, even if this one you get done listening and you're like, what the hell was Dave talking about? That was the most boring thing I've ever heard in my life. If I've brought value to the table, or if you think someone else might find value in it, please take a moment and rate the show on any podcast platform. I'm available everywhere: iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon now. It's growing every day. Comment, send me a message, and share the show. Share it with your friends and your community and your network. Again, anyone that you think might benefit from it. Don't forget, check me out on my website. Send me a message there, survivingthesystem.org, www.survivingthesystem.org. And you can visit me on social media. Message me there too. Facebook at facebook.com/survivingthesystem, and Twitter at STSThePodcast. Either one of those. I may not always be active, but I am there. I'm listening, and I will respond back to you. So thank you to those of you who have reached out. It means a lot to me. I love the interaction with y'all. So without further ado, let's get started. And if you've listened for any amount of time, you know that I have really tried to focus on taking what I would give as advice or coaching to a client and apply it to myself. And one of the things that I recommend for people to do is to start your day with gratitude. If you start your day with gratitude, it helps to keep your mind in the right frame. So as you go forward with that day, instead of focusing on everything that's wrong, you begin to find yourself focusing on everything that's going right. And that's a much better frame of mind to be in for multiple different reasons. So I take my own advice, and we're going to start the show off with a quick moment of gratitude, as we can sometimes get into some more difficult topics and subjects. Try to keep it productive. We can still talk about some of those more difficult subjects to cover and keep it productive and keep the vibration high, keep that frequency high, so that it's a good outcome. And I just want to take this quick moment and say thank you for sticking with me. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. You allow me to live out my purpose, to be here, to talk to you, to remind you exactly who you are. If you weren't here listening to me, I would just be sitting here talking to my computer in the middle of my cluttered basement. So thank you very much. And as we get going, for those of you who are watching on YouTube or Odyssey, I have, if you've listened to me for any length of time, I really don't hide much about myself or my life. And I make that effort very, very consciously. I'm very careful to keep certain things back, but to really just lay it all out there. So rather than have me try to run around the house and try to straighten everything up and try to make it look so super cool, like I'm not going through it just like you are, I'm just going to leave it as it is. So I'm in the basement. I'm on the floor, which is okay. I don't mind. I love sitting down here. It's a little bit more quiet. It's a little bit more secluded, and it allows me to just focus on doing what I need to do. But our dryer has been out for like 3 or 4 weeks, so we've barely been able to scrape by with clothes, and our dryer just got fixed, and my wife has been doing laundry like a mad woman. So there are piles of laundry surrounding me, and this is what you can see is maybe about a third of all of it. It's everywhere in the basement right now, and I honestly just don't even have anywhere to put it. But I just want you all to be able to know that I'm not trying to present anything other than who I am. So this is me. I try to take my life, and as hectic and chaotic as it can be, I will still carve my little space out in the midst of the chaos, the eye of the storm, and I will do what I need to do. And I think that there's a parallel there. There's a big lesson there for all of us to take into consideration. So that's why it's here. Yeah, so please forgive the mess, but, I know I'm not the only one. So let's get to it. I want to start with a quote that I think was just absolutely spot on with what's been going on for me lately, especially over this last month, give or take. So this is from Robert H. Schuller. Never cut a tree down in the wintertime. Never make a negative decision in the low time. Never make your most important decisions when you are in your worst moods. Wait. Be patient. The storm will pass. The spring will come. Wait. How freaking hard is that to do? And even as I say that, you can almost feel your defenses come up. I can. If I say wait, it almost feels like a force, like a presence or something holding you back. And we tend to take that as a negative thing. And patience is something that has been conditioned out of us to such a degree that we have to have everything right now. I need it now. Let's go. Right now. Let's go now. Now. And I deal with that in my day job. I mean, it's everywhere, but to me it feels most prevalent in my day job. One of the owners of our company, she and I have had some discussions, not necessarily disagreements, but honestly just discussions, very healthy. She and I don't agree on this topic, but she's very impatient. Her view of a sales approach is call them back. Call them back. Oh, you know what? I totally forgot to ask him that. Pick it up the phone. Call him back. Call him back 4, 5, 6 times in a row. Doesn't even matter. You're not bothering him. Call him back. Call him back. My viewpoint is I'm trying to establish a relationship in a long term with this person. And you know what? I'm going to call him back tomorrow, or I'm going to call him back the next day whenever I have this next call scheduled. And whatever I missed, I'll ask him then. Unless it's something of vital importance, and then I'll call back and say, you know what, I apologize. Forgive me, I missed this. Just slipped my mind or I didn't get to it on my list, and I just need to ask you real quick. But if it's something that's not going to move the process forward, why would I just have that person get to the point where they're like, oh my gosh, this guy again? I've studied the sales process for many, many, many years, and I've come to what works very well for me. And part of that is starting each interaction with people with the outcome in mind. So I go in and I say, I'm having this interaction with this person to get this end result out of it. And once I get my end result, I'm good. And if I need to have another follow-up session to say, okay, now that I have this information, what's the next step? What else do I need to get? Well, then that's next. And I'll do that next. You know, and she has this, I remember the discussion that we had where, you know, I just had to say, I disagree with you on that. And it turned into a joking debate with us, but her view is, man, urgency and impatience is the same thing. If you're not impatient, you're not being urgent. I completely disagree. I can be urgent without being impatient. But I can stress the urgency and say, this needs to be done, and I expect it to be done, and not come back 5 minutes later and go, it's done. Are you done? Did you get it done yet? I know I just told you to do it, but it's done yet. No, get off my back. It's not done yet. Hold on. I got it. So I deal with that in the industry that I'm in and just with life in general. People just want it all right now. Oh, my kids. Oh, my gosh. Even my wife, we've been having this conversation. She's had to come to realize lately that she is so conditioned to expect instant gratification that if something is going to take longer than instantaneous, she gets mad. And, you know, she recognizes it. Recognition is the first law of learning and transformation. You can't fix something if you don't know what's there. So, you know, kudos, she's on the right path. That's just how society has conditioned all of us nowadays. So Microsoft, the company Microsoft, did a study of consumers a few years ago to determine the average attention span of a human being. In the year 2000, the average was 12 seconds. In 2013, it was 8 seconds. So in that 13-year span, we lost 4 seconds of our attention span. And it's pretty easy. I don't need another study on top of this one to figure out why. It's the advent of social media and streaming platforms and, you know, all of the things that we hear now being talked about as detriments to our mental state. You know, our addiction to social media and to cell phones and all of these different things. We're trained to have a very, very short attention span. And just to put this into some perspective for you, so in 2013, the average span was 8 seconds. You can pay attention for about 8 seconds on average, and after that, you're checked out. The average attention span of a goldfish is 9 seconds. So my wife likes to use the comment a lot with my son, especially. My son, my oldest son, he's high energy, real fast thinker, thinks on his feet extremely quick, very intelligent. But she always used to tell him, she said, Samuel, you have the attention span of a goldfish. Well, according to this study, the goldfish can pay attention longer than my son can. And I love my son, but that's probably true. So the system is set up to keep you distracted and to keep you unfocused. You know, the only reason that they did this study was not to say, oh my gosh, look at how horrible this is. The average attention span is dropping. How are we going to do this? We need to get people to focus more. Do you understand what the flow state is? Do you understand what mindfulness meditation is? We need to reincorporate these things in, and we need to get that attention span back up. That's not why they did this. Microsoft did this so they could figure out how to make money off of ads. What did they need to tweak so that consumers would still buy? So instead of running a 30-second ad on a Super Bowl commercial on TV, well, they know that they've got 5 to 8 seconds to catch your attention to get you engaged. So social media ads, pop-up ads, the quick, short 5-second videos before YouTube videos. That's why everything is so short. That's skippable. They didn't do it because they're worried about your well-being. They did it because they want to figure out how to make more money off of you and how they needed to tweak what they were doing to fit into your short attention span. It's set up to keep you unfocused. Because if you're unfocused, you're just letting your unconscious programming run the show. You're not thinking for yourself. It's really we'll do the thinking for you. Don't worry about it. We got this. Sit back, relax. Just think of your average news show, news program. I don't watch the news anymore. I'll watch clips. I'll check the headlines here and there. I like to at least know what's going on. But the news is at like an elementary school level. They talk to you like you're in kindergarten. We'll tell you what you need to know. And they take these massively complex ideas and boil it down into this very, very short segment, because remember, your attention span isn't very long, so they've only got this long, and they're just going to give you a little bit of information and move on. But don't think too much about it. You don't need to know all the details. You know just enough so that you can vote in the next election, for example. Page 2. The problem here is that we aren't created to just run on someone else's programming. Someone else's thoughts, actions, words, feelings, they can affect us. And especially during those formative years from that birth to age 13, they really can affect who you are. And you can pick that up because you're just a sponge. So, your parents aren't necessarily consciously programming you with a lot of the bad habits that they have and training you to do some of the things that they do that maybe they wish they didn't. But that's how it is, because that's how we're conditioned, and the unconscious programming is just running. But you and I, we're here for a purpose. Bigger topic for a bigger show. We've talked about it before, but we're powerful beings. We are source incarnate. What I mean by that is we are the same creative source that created the universe, just in a physical form. We have those same powers and abilities to create and shape our reality around us. We have powers and abilities that we can't even dream of at this point, because we've forgotten who we are, and we're being conditioned to not even try to think about it anymore. We'll tell you who you are. And when you stop rushing, and when you stop being so impatient, and when you just stop and wait, you suddenly hear that voice in the back of your head. You suddenly remember the sound of that internal voice. And then the cracks in the dam start to form. And most times the universe is going to send signs to try to guide you back to where you should be. It's going to send you just a quick attention getter, I like to call them. a few weeks, no, it was more than a few weeks, it was a few months ago now at this point, I was just pushing myself to the limit. And I knew it, and I was working on, okay, I'm pushing too hard. I can feel it. I'm starting to feel that exhaustion. I'm starting to feel too much stress. I'm not sleeping well. I need to change up what I'm doing. I need to get my habits right. What the heck am I doing? What's going on? And I was on my way home from work, and somebody in the back seat was talking or yelling or screaming or something, whatever. I was distracted, and I was backing up and just ran right into the flatbed truck right behind me. Not a huge accident, like it broke the tail light in the van, scratched his paint. Fortunately, very understanding gentleman. He came out and he just said, look, just don't even worry about it. It was worse on your car than it was on mine. I'll just buff this out real quick. He's like, just go take care of your car. We'll call it good. And I mean, I knew exactly what that was. That was the universe going, hey, you pay attention before you really wreck yourself here. And when you don't pay attention to those attention getters, well, then sometimes life doesn't send you signs anymore. Sometimes it sends the storm, and it forces you to wait. So that's what happened to me. That's what's happened to me the last few weeks. So anyone that's listening knows that, a few weeks ago at this point, my daughter wound up having to go to the hospital for a little while because of a threat to commit suicide at school. Now that we've had time and we're not fresh in the moment, things have moved on, perspective, don't really think that it was as serious as it was made out to be. However, as a parent, in talking with my ex, I think she put it perfectly. She said, I don't want to not take it seriously and then find out afterwards that she wasn't kidding or that she wasn't just exaggerating or being dramatic, because that would kill me. And no pun intended. That's just how it is. That would crush you. So as a parent, you have to take it seriously. And we did. And part of that for me was, okay, am I not spending enough time with my family? Am I not spending enough time with the kids? What do I need to do here? And so that was a big focus for me, just to make sure that I carved that time back out and tried to dedicate that time. And so I sat down to go over everything that I have going on in my life, between my job and between the show and between my coaching clients and between the nonprofit and between the kids and between my wife. There's a lot. There's a lot going on. And, most of the time I can make it work. And it did work for the time. But I really had to sit down and focus and say, okay, well, this isn't working anymore. We need to do better. So how can I make sure that I'm carving things out, focusing on what's important, and the most important thing being my family? And long story short, I took some time to say, okay, I'm going to schedule my week a little better and, sit down and take Monday and Tuesday and do my show prep on Monday, record on Tuesday, Wednesday, all kids, Thursday, coaching clients, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, family. The weekends are a lot more free, so I can kind of schedule things around in the daytimes, in the afternoons, things like the evenings after everybody goes to bed. But obviously during the week I'm at work, so that takes up most of my time. And unfortunately, one of the things that was really just a big, I guess, just energy sucker is my nonprofit, and got to step away from it. And that was a really difficult decision. I don't know that I've ever really truly talked about the nonprofit and how it all came about and how I got the idea and how much persistence and energy and focus it took me to even get incorporated with that organization. It was a lot. And then we got the incorporation, and the funds just weren't coming in. And then COVID hit. And, we had all the grants and foundations that I would normally take a look at and try to figure out how to apply for it. Nothing. Organizations that normally would do charitable giving, they had to close it up. We've got to take care of our own right now, which I understand. And it just came down to, in order for me to make this great, it's got to be more than a full-time job. And it's going to be a grassroots campaign. It's got to be out there talking to people, every day, having at least some kind of a meeting, knocking doors, going to meetings and organizations and churches and all of that, and doing presentations for everyone and asking for the help and asking for the donation. And I love that. Put me in front of a group of people and I will knock it out of the ballpark. I am so passionate about this particular topic. You can put me in front of that group of people and I will win them over. I don't have the time to go in front of those groups of people with the day job and having to shift my focus. And so I'm turning it over to my friend Alex, who we've had on the show a couple times and who's co-hosted with me recently. For those of you that don't know, if you haven't ever had the chance, please go back and listen to my interviews with Alex. Fascinating story on his end, but he and I met when we were here in OCC, and we kept in touch. Obviously, when I got home, I got a little bit before him, but he was vital in helping me to get the nonprofit up and running. And his only request, he just said, I want to be on the board. I'll help you with all this, but I want to be on the board. Yeah, of course. That's a no-brainer to me. I want the board to be people who get it. I don't want my board to be made up of a bunch of people who've never been inside and have no idea what it's really like. So, yeah, no-brainer. Let's go. So we're going to have to shift roles. I'm still going to be involved. I'm still going to be on the board, but I'm not going to be running it. I don't have the time. He has a little bit more time, so I'm turning it over to him. And it's not that I don't trust him at all, because I do. I trust him with a lot. He's helped us out with a lot of legal matters and personal matters, and but that's my baby. That's mine. I came up with that idea. I had that idea pop into my mind sitting in the library at OCC, and I said, hey, what if there was this? And then just started talking to people about it, and started prepping, and started laying the groundwork, and started talking to people as soon as I got out, and had the meetings with SCORE, and talked to the SBA, and talked to all these business coaches, and had everybody go, I don't even know what to tell you. It's a great idea. I have no idea how to structure that. Or to have people tell me, well, that's not going to work. No, you're not going to be able to do that. And then to gradually turn that focus to have them go, you may be onto something here. Maybe we could try this. Maybe you should talk to this person. And the next thing you know, here we are, incorporation. That's all very, very literally my blood, sweat, and tears are in that organization. So to give that up, it's difficult and necessary. Sacrifice is it's part of life. It's part of success. It's just how it goes. You will sacrifice something to get what you need to get what you want to get. Once you have that understanding, then at least it doesn't catch you off guard. I was prepared. I really don't want to have to do this. However, this is what I'm trying to achieve. This is what I'm going to have to sacrifice to get there. And so it's in works. And then work just started hammering my butt. Just absolutely kicking my butt. In the industry that I work in, it's the staffing industry. And I've heard people talk about the work ethic for this generation nowadays and how people, my generation, we work this hard. I never got it. I have a decent work ethic, and I've never had that issue before. And I'm surrounded by people who have at least a pretty good work ethic. I've never encountered so many people who just will do everything in their power to not work. It's an interesting mindset that I don't understand, so sometimes it's very difficult. But the bottom line is, I will place someone to go fill a need over at this business, this facility, this organization, and a lot of times they'll just fall off the face of the planet. They'll back out. They'll quit, or they'll show up and get terminated. They'll get fired because they're just a crappy employee. And I got a lot of those. It hammered me. So my desk, which is my income, in the sales industry, I earn a portion of the commission off of that. That was my money that got hit. And I had to batten down the hatches and just weather the storm. There was nothing I could do. I can't control what other people do. I can control what I do. I can control how I react. That's all I got. I can't go to that person and say, what are you doing? You committed to doing this. You signed a contract. You can't just change your mind now and have them go, oh, you know what? You're right. I didn't even see it that way. Yep, I'll go do that. Thanks. Thanks for having this talk with me. It doesn't work that way. They just disappear off the face of the planet and never talk to you again. So I took a pretty good pounding, and I'm just getting my feet back under me now. I mean, it's been a good 4 weeks now. I feel like I just now have my feet back underneath me and I can start to climb my way back up. And that's okay. It's part of it. It's not the first time it's ever happened to me. It's not the first time it's ever happened in this industry. And it's not the last time it'll happen. And that's okay. It's just part of how it goes. I get it. It doesn't make it any less frustrating and stressful, but I get it. But I was still of that mindset where, my automatic programming was kicking in, where it's like, just go, keep going, work harder, work faster, go, make more phone calls, do this, do that. And I just pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, and I was just at that breaking point. And I would come home, and I was just mentally just fried. I had nothing left in between, trying to focus on work and trying to focus on my daughter and make sure that she was doing okay mentally and physically, and making sure that she was going through school and having to manage all of the relationships and the drama that went around with that. And then on top of all of that, try to take care of myself and all the kids and that's why I haven't done a show in the last few weeks, because at one point I just came home and I was like, I can't do it. I can't. I got nothing. I got nothing. And I had to step away for a little bit. And that's okay. That's why I felt that quote that I started the show with was so important, because, man, if I've got nothing to say, if I don't have anything of value, if I'm not in the right mindset to come here and do this and to talk to you, then I'm not going to do it. And that was not the right time. I had to just stop. I had to just put it down and walk away and wait. And it was hard, but it was what I needed. And, things with my wife were really difficult. Really difficult. We were struggling to just get along. We were at each other's throats a lot. And I was just, I didn't know what else to do. I was at a loss. I was just, trying to get up and power my way through everything. And I needed to stop. I needed to stop all of it. Just stop and wait and listen. But I wasn't. And so all of this perfect storm is building and culminated about 2 weeks ago now. Yeah, 2 weeks. Thursday afternoon, I was at work and just, my stomach didn't feel right. I'm like, maybe I ate something. Didn't agree with me. And the next day I woke up and my stomach still just didn't feel right. And my 7-year-old woke up and said her stomach was bothering her too. So of course instantly we're like, crap, it's a bug or a virus or something. All right, well, I'll stay home with her, so that way we're not bringing it to work. And she's not feeling. I'm not going to send her to daycare and get everybody else sick. So we waited. I just worked from home. I didn't stop. I kept going. And it still just wasn't feeling right. So the next morning, Saturday, I got up and just my stomach hurt. Oh, it was bad, really bad. I couldn't even stand up straight. It was almost doubling me over in pain. And, I was sitting on the couch and I told my wife, I said, look, call your mom or call my mom or something, ask them to help with the kids, because I think I got to go to the doctor. This isn't feeling right. The last time it felt like that was a couple of years ago when I ended up in the ER with a really aggressive virus. Apparently it was a stomach virus, just caused massive intestinal cramping. I caught the most aggressive strain of it apparently, and they were like, well, it's a virus, so there's nothing you can do. Just tough it out. And by that point, I'd been up for like 7 days. I could barely sleep. I was in so much pain, and I just, please give me something so I could sleep for a day. And yeah, they were able to help me, and then after that, it lessened up. So I'm thinking it's the same thing again. Crap, here we go again. All right, man, I need to focus on my digestive system. I'm not doing really good. My gut, something's just not right with my gut. Okay, I'm sitting there going through all of my head. And so I told my wife I got to go, and she instantly was like, she started to worry because her initial reaction was, well, crap, you're sick, and then I'm going to get sick, and who's going to help me? Nobody's going to help me because I've got to feed the baby. And, she was worried and stressed about that. I was like, I'm no use to you right now as it is. So let me go get taken care of, so I can at least help you if it comes to that. So I went, and I got to the ER, and, talking to the doctor about what's going on. And of course, they hooked the IV up and started giving me some fluids, and instantly you're like, well, we'll get you something for the pain at least to help with that. I'm like, okay, thank you. Explaining everything to the doctor, and he says, what? And I guess it could be a virus, but that sounds like appendicitis too. He's like, is the pain like right over here? No, it's not over here. It's like over here. He's like, what? Well, that doesn't sound like appendicitis, but well, let's go ahead and rule everything out first so I can figure out what it is. So we'll run a couple of tests, and okay, no big deal. I'm just I'll get this taken care of. I'll go back home. I don't go to the doctor much at all. I never get sick. And when I do, it's just a bug or like seasonal flu or something like that. And I'm back up and running in a day or two. So I'm like, okay, no big deal. Whatever. I'll be out here in a couple hours. Sounds good. And so they run a couple of tests and, give me some IV fluids, stuff like that. And then we go do a CT scan to just scan my gut and see what's going on. About an hour later, doctor comes in and he goes, yeah, it's appendicitis. Surgeon's on his way. We've got to get your appendix right now. Okay. Well, that's what we're doing. All right. And he was very nonchalant about it, I guess, but still stressing the urgency. So he wasn't panicked, so I didn't panic. I was just like, okay, well, let's just get it taken care of. So he said, yep, he's on his way. We need to get you in right away. So he'll be in here to talk to you in a little bit. I said, okay. So, yeah, the surgery I went. Out goes the appendix. And that was the moment. That was what got everything back on track. So I come out of it and I think, what are my lessons? Because sitting in the hospital there, with COVID restrictions still, like my wife couldn't even come up and visit me until afterwards. So she's freaking out because she feels bad because, she was like, oh my gosh, he told me and I didn't take it seriously. And, so I'm go in and it was super fast. I was home the same day. I was in there at like 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, I think, and I was home by 6:30 that night. So wasn't really anything too horrible until after the fact, and I sit down and I look back at it and I, really think about what the doctor was telling me and how quickly they moved, where that could have been very, very bad. If they would have waited, if I would have waited to go in, how bad could that have been? Could have been really bad. But it wasn't, relatively. I was down and out for a few days because it hurt. I couldn't sit up very well. And it's right in the gut, so it's abs. So anytime that you go to sit up or go to do this, you don't realize how much you use your abs until somebody cuts into them, and then you've got to go around for the next week going, oh, my God, that hurts. Oh, I got coughing, sneezing, everything. But as I was in the recovery room after the surgery and after I woke up and came out of anesthesia and they put me in the room and the nurses checking on me, then my wife could visit. And, that was where we got ourselves back on track. We had our talk. We hashed it all out. But that's what it took. And it shouldn't have taken that much, but I wasn't paying attention. I was pushing too hard, and I forgot to take care of myself. And it also really reminded me that, the gut brain is a brain as well. Got your head brain, you've got your heart brain, and you got your gut brain. Anytime somebody says, I got that gut feeling, it's your intuition. It's scientifically being proven now. But as men, we store a lot of our emotions in our gut. And rather than processing everything and slowing down and waiting and just helping my mind and my body to process through all the stress that I was under, I just kept trying to push and power through it. until it reached the point where my body and the universe just said, dude, stop. You have got to stop. I've tried to get you to pay attention and you're not, so now you're gonna stop. Just hold up for a minute. And I did. And it worked. I'm paying attention. But back to basics. Back to basics, man. The simple things, making sure you get enough sleep. Making sure you wake up early enough to get ready so that waking up last minute and rushing to get in, running out the door and yelling at the kids, come on, hurry up, we gotta run, we're gonna let me late, blah, 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 blah. And just starting the day off with stress instead of starting it off with gratitude and that right vibration. Eating better. Drinking better. Drinking lots of water. Supplementation. Meditation. Just the basic things that I didn't realize I had let slip as much as I did. And you know what? That's okay. I got it. Recognition is the first law of learning and transformation. There's no use in beating myself up about it. I learn. I take the feedback. I adjust, act, analyze, adjust. I was acting. Didn't work. My analysis of those actions are that I need to go back to the basics. So I'm adjusting, and now I'm acting under that. So that's where things are at now. It gave me the perfect opportunity to sit down and say, you know what? Do I have the time and the capacity and the energy to continue to do this show, to continue to bring value? And you know what? Yeah, I do. Yeah, it was not, I was not going to give this up. I've worked too hard. I've put too much into this. And I'm continuing to work on this, continuing to refine this, continuing to work on the content, take the show and say, how can I make it better? And even through all of this, I've got a couple of interviews lined up. Some really, I'm so looking forward to some of these interviews that are coming up next week and the week after. I'm excited for. These are people that I want to talk to. Where I'm like, man, I don't even care if this goes on the show. I just want to sit down and talk to you. This is going to be cool. So I'm really looking forward to it. But even through all of that, and the emails popped through, hey, here's an idea for a guest. Yeah, let's do it. Wasn't even a question. So I'm still here. I'm committed. But take this as a reminder for yourself, too, that it's okay to just stop and walk away for a moment. It's okay. We have to do that sometimes. I want to end with this Chinese proverb that I think just ties this all up beautifully, perfectly. I couldn't come up with these words any better. It says, one moment of patience may ward off great disaster. One moment of impatience may ruin a whole life. And if that doesn't just sum it all up, I don't know what else does. But I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you for sticking with me. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still here. If you have an idea for a show, if you have an idea for a guest, or if you have a story that you need to tell, that you need to get out there, let me know. Again, I'm on my website, survivingthesystem.org. You can catch me on Facebook at facebook.com/survivingthesystem, Twitter at STSThePodcast. I am almost always reachable. I'll get back to you within 24 hours. I love the interaction from you guys. I love to hear your feedback. I love to hear your ideas, and I'd love to hear your suggestions. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much again for being here with me. And remember, keep your head up. Don't let them get you.